G'day everybody, Ethan Rabagas chat here to preview the Good Friday clash against the Kangaroos this Friday, 4:20 p.m. at Marvel Stadium. First game at Marvel Stadium this year. We had some very, very good results there last year, and I think it's just fantastic that we're playing on Good Friday. We've replaced the Dogs, I believe, who were there last year, and it's us against the Kangas. It's a great cause. The Good Friday appeal is something, close to a lot of people's hearts in Australia. And it's just fantastic we get to play on that day and really show our support behind the cause. So it'd be great to see all of you there. I'm pretty sure all the reserve seating is sold out now, and I think it'll be a packed house at Marvel Stadium, which is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be there on Friday afternoon. So hopefully it's a win, but we'll get straight into actually the injury list for this weekend. So as I touched on in the review of the Giants game, Matty Owies obviously came off early in that game. I think the first quarter actually started really well in that game. Scans confirmed a hamstring strain, so he'll definitely miss this round, but will need to be assessed further over the next week to determine a possible timeline on his return. Hopefully not too long, so it's probably 1 to 2 weeks max. Onto Blake Acres, which is another topic. He has a minor pectoral muscle strain, which you could clearly see from all 4 quarters on the weekend against the Giants. He's expected to be available next week. Onto Matty Kennedy. Obviously, he missed the Giants clash with calf soreness. He'll be a test this week, and I'd imagine he comes straight back in. Obviously, with Owies out and Acres out, so I'd imagine he gets a spot this week. Jack Martin and his calf, it's always a touchy subject. He'll be a test this week. I'm not sure if he gets it. I think he might need to play a game in the twos just to get his match fitness right, because I just thought he wasn't right round one. I know that was almost three weeks ago, but I think he just needs to get a few games in the twos and then start pushing for selection again in the ones. Sam Durden, he'll be a test with a hammy this week. Obviously, he'll be playing in the twos. We just need that depth down back, though, so hopefully he's ready to go and wants to hit the season hard again. Sammy Walsh with the back, obviously, he's had for the past, 3, 4, 5 months. He's been in full training with the main group, which is fantastic. He'll need to continue to do so, and obviously he has a training program that they've touched on a lot over the last couple of months, so he'll need to complete that full training program before he is able to return to play. I reckon he'll be back round 5 or 6. That's my thinking, and he'll be an absolutely massive in for us in terms of just we need a bit more midfield spark. I feel like our mid's doing all right, but he just obviously Sam Walsh is one of a kind type of player, so he'll provide that spark for us in the midfield in weeks to come. So all the best to those guys getting back from injuries. On a guy I just touched on with his pec injury, Blake Acres, obviously last night they had the tribunal. There was a lot of different points made, and unfortunately the suspension is upheld. So he'll miss this week. It could be a blessing in disguise in terms of he gets to recover from that pectoral strain. So the matter of is, who do we bring in? There's been a bit of talk, especially over Twitter, with different names. I think the logical one is probably bringing in O'Brien, just that bit more experienced head. But a lot of people have been calling he's another draftee, and it's Jackson Binns to debut. I think he had 22 touches in the VFL, if I'm not wrong. And he could definitely fit into that position, but I just feel for mine, I think he needs a few more weeks in the twos just to keep playing consistent footy, and then he'll be pushing for selection again, which is a great problem again. If your debutant's playing that well, if a draftee's playing that well again in the twos straight away, it just shows that our list management, the draft strategy was spot on, because we've already had 2 debutants who were draftees in obviously Lockie Cowan and Ollie Hollands. But for mine, I think LOB will come in for Akers on the wing there. Potential inclusions, obviously, Kennedy's a test and Martin's a test. For mine, I think Kennedy probably comes in. I think it wasn't really an injury; it was more soreness and precautionary, which is a good approach. I think in terms of I think last year we may have pushed a few players, a week or two more, and then they had a longer injury. I'd rather just, especially early in the year, just nullify that injury, get rid of it, and then get him going. Because the back end of the year is going to be important. So we need these players fit for, back end of the year. We'll move on. More structure-wise, looking around the lineups. The back line I'll start with. Youngie and Weeders. I thought the first quarter against the Giants, I thought defensively we weren't sound as we were in round 1 and 2. But from the second quarter to the last, I thought we were fantastic. Obviously, keeping them to 64, which is honestly ultimately won us the game because our conversion up forward wasn't good enough. And then they had two key forwards, obviously Nick Larkey, who's in form. He's having a ripper start to the year up forward. I think he kicked 6 or 7 against the Eagles round 1, and he's definitely up there in the Coleman race currently. I know it's round 3, but he's playing some good footy. And then obviously Comden, who is a young fella as well. He's a big fella. He can rotate in the ruck. But for mine, with Weeders and Young, I'm trusting them every week to be able to get the job done. They've done it against some good key forwards in obviously Tom Hawkins. And I thought Youngie was fantastic round 1. And obviously Weeders, I think he's been solid, but obviously he's just got to keep getting back to his best. I think this week he can really prove that. But you can't take these guys lightly. I think Suvlaki is. I think he's a fantastic forward for them, and obviously the future of the North Melbourne Football Club up forward. And Compton looks very, very settled at the AFL level. I think he's only played under 7 games. At the AFL level, but he's a big fella. He can, play up forward, pushing the ruck. So it's something we've got to be wary of. But I think Weeders and Young can do the job. Who takes Zerha is the real question. Cam Zerha is always that dangerous forward. Provides that physical element. His physical element to his game is massive, and that's why I think he's such a good forward. But I think for mine, I think it's almost you almost got to go Nick Newman again. Depending on where Zerha, if he's rotating in the midfield or playing higher, I think the way Nick Newman's been handling these big jobs week on week, I think you have to take him. Considering his performance on Toby Green on Saturday afternoon was absolutely superb. And yeah, I think it has to be Nick Newman on Zerha, but it's definitely a watch because their forward line's looking a little bit more dangerous this year. And obviously, as a collective, North Melbourne are playing some solid footy, so we can't really take them lightly. So we'll move on from the back line. We'll go on to the midfield. Obviously, if the inclusion is Kennedy, our midfield's looking very, very solid heading into this Good Friday clash. Obviously, Cripper, Kennedy, Chera, Hewitt as well. And they've got their 2 midfielders back this weekend. I think LDU and Simpkin were laid out. So I think Simpkin was out just in the normal selection, and LDU was a real laid out. So they're massive ins for them. I think they're 2 fantastic midfielders and can really challenge our mids. I think see LDU's becoming one of the most top A graders in the competition, and Simpkin on his day is he can really get going. So once again, it's not going to be an easy game, but I think realistically we should be getting the job done in the midfield. And obviously they got Ben Cunnington, so I think last year we played him, he didn't play, so he's a solid body. He's played a lot of games of football. He's very, very solid. He finds it hard to play a real bad game, and he really opens up the game for those 2, especially LDU and Simpkin. And I've got Barley Scott running through there as well, who's incredibly solid. So, but for me, once again, I'm going to say it for every line, I back him in every week. I don't think we're going to be overly, we shouldn't be beaten by a lot in any line. Obviously, week by week, it's going to change depending on the team, but I'll back these guys in. With LDU, obviously, his impact on games, especially round 1 and 2, where they did win, he was massive. I think he had 30 plus in each game, which is um, which is fantastic. I honestly, I don't know if we tag him straight away, but with Ed Kerno in the side, if he is in the side, I think he definitely plays a role in terms of, maybe not at the start of the game, but if he's getting, he's getting a lot of the ball come the second quarter, you just chuck Ed Kerno and really minimise his impact, because Ed's been fantastic this year in terms of being able to just play his own role, but also sticking to a man and tagging them and really minimising their impact on the game. So yeah, I think we do tag him if need be, but with our midfielders, they're going to have to be looking at our midfielders to tag as well. So it is fantastic, because we've got that good midfield depth now, and obviously we just got to get the addition of Walshy in the next few weeks, and that'll just make it very, very, very good. So we'll move on to the forward line. This is an interesting, topic, especially with North having a few injuries and suspensions down there. I think obviously there won't be the Mackay Bowl again. I think it's like 7 years in a row where they haven't played each other at the top level. I think they've played each other at VFL level, but no Ben Mackay for the Kangas, which is a huge loss. He's only played 26 games for them in the last 5 or 6 years, so that's definitely an issue. But and also another suspension on the North Melbourne side, with Griffin Logue getting a 1 week suspension for his hit on Will Day. I honestly think it was there. I think it was definitely more. I'm not trying to be biased, but I think it was definitely more there than the Blake Acres bump or whatever he was trying to smother. But he'll be out. That's massive, because I think Logue's really had Charlie's number, not complete domination, but he's been very, very good for them when he was at the Dockers. Always played well on Kerno. So and then you look at their key stocks now. You got Aiden Core and obviously Bonner, who I think that was their two key backs last year in the same game against each other at the Dome. So really, if Harry's had a bit of he's struggled at the start of the year, we must say. He hasn't really got on the scoreboard. I think he's only got 2 goals, but I think he's got to be licking his lips now. It's under the roof at Marvel. You've got 2 key backs that you could probably beat. Really should be beating, and it's going to be very, very interesting. But I think with those two, Charlie and Harry should really take this by the scruff of the neck and make it their game on Friday afternoon, because realistically, it just should be done. It's their job, and that's what we're paying them the big bucks for. So with the other forward line, obviously the other forwards, you got the Smalls, who have been superb. Obviously, I think with Owies out, you've got Durden and Motlop, who have been great. They provide that pressure. That's going to put the pressure on guys like Sheasel. I know Sheasel gets a lot of the ball. He's a fantastic ball user, and gets a lot of it. He's a fantastic young player. But with being able to put pressure on them, make them accountable as well on defense as well. So spreading them, making them move, getting into them a little bit physical wise. It should be good. And obviously Sauce was fantastic last week, and if he can keep that form up, it'll go a long way to us winning. He's just kind of like the barometer for us, and he was fantastic last weekend. And I'll move on to my match predictions. I just touched on the big fella, how he struggled. No, he hasn't been terrible, but he just hasn't really been hitting the scoreboard. And big Harry Mackay, I think he loves Marvel Stadium. He's kicked a few bags there. I think he kicked his most, which was against Freo in 2021, which was 7 snags. So I think Harry Mackay kicks 7 snags on Friday afternoon. He's going to be the best on ground, and just kind of shush the haters a little bit. Hopefully, he's been a lot of people are talking about him, and obviously it's expectation comes with these big contracts, and obviously he's shown how good of a player he is at this level. So Harry Mackay with 7 snags, point of difference. If he comes in, it's going to be LOB. He's copped it a fair bit. He did struggle a little bit when he came on for Owies as a sub on Saturday afternoon, but I think LOB could prove why he was a genuine best 22 all year last year, with a great performance against North Melbourne on Friday afternoon. Winner and margin. Obviously, me and Pato have a laugh about this. We rarely not pick us. I back these boys in most weeks, and I've obviously picked Carlton. I think it's time for a comfortable victory. I'm not saying it will be easy. I think the Kangas are obviously more solid than they were last year. Obviously, Clarko's a fantastic coach, and he's really drilled into them good structure and good systems. So for mine, I think it's going to be Carlton. I think we can if we can get away, which we haven't been able to in our first two wins. I think Carlton by 52 points. I think if we get away early, kind of just break that goal for goal thing we kind of had it against the Giants and pick 4 or 5 or 6 straight, I think we can really get going and put them under the pump. Especially at Marvel, it's a perfect deck for us under the roof. So Carlton by 52. Let us know your predictions in the comments below. Make sure to don't forget to like and subscribe. Chuck us a follow on the socials. We're always active on there. And as always, up the Baggers.